here's my story that I want to talk about on the good government secrets, because it sort of ties into everything we're talking about, which is MK Ultra, our favorite. and for those of you listening who don't know, I'm just going to give you a little, and I've just went online, just found a very simple thing. It was a top secret CIA project in which the agency conducted hundreds of clandestine experiments, sometimes on unwitting U.S. citizens, to assess the potential use of LSD and other drugs for mind control, information gathering, and psychological torture. Though the project lasted from 1953 to about 73, isn't it fun when they say a program got shut down when we know it didn't? Isn't that fun?
You know, like Operation Mockingbird, where they infiltrate the media. They ended that. That's over now.
It's all done. And
all the. You know, you can't picture the guy turning out the lights in the room, like click. It's all done. Finished up infiltrating the media here at the CIA. We're gonna move on now.
Yeah, the mob's out of Vegas. They got the mob out of Vegas. The mob is not in Vegas at all. So basically what MK Ultra was to our listeners is Alan Dulles, director of the CIA, approved MK Ultra in 1953, and the project was aimed to develop techniques that could be used against Soviet bloc enemies to control human behavior with drugs and other psychological manipulators. Yeah, it was totally just used against our enemies. We didn't ever imply it against our own people. The CIA is not allowed to operate on American soil.
By the way, one of our, maybe the most celebrated MK Ultra participant, the Unabomber. Right? He was going to Harvard, and they used him in a study, and they fucking broke him, man, and that spawned, that created the PTSD and the seed that made him despise academics. And Unabomber had a lot of other interesting points about technology and things, but the reason he sent bombs to academics, which not a lot of people can get behind that, is because he was used in this experiment. I believe it was Harvard. Used in this experiment, and therefore felt like these academic professors had abused him.
Yeah, and the question remains: like, was he like this lost cause that went off the reservation, or did they go, "Hey, time to activate Unabomber"? That's the question you got to ask, because MK Ultra. Obviously, it's got to still be in use in some way or capacity today. Like, there's no way all this crazy shit happening around the planet. You can't. I just have a hard time going, oh, it's just the loose cannon, or just like they're activating all these like Jason Bourne style, like their phone rings and they just say Gypsy, Firefly, 1940, and then the guy gets activated and just goes nuts.
And then he silently hangs up the phone, and his eyes have changed.
Yeah,
and then he turns and walks away.
Yes. And then he just puts on red underwear and pulls out this duffel bag that was hidden in a safe. That's what I feel like it is to me, because again, back to what it said, the program involved more than 150 human experiments involving psychedelic drugs, paralytics, and electroshock therapy. Sometimes the test subjects knew they were participating in the study, but other times they had no idea. They conducted them at universities, as you said, hospitals, and prisons in the United States and Canada. Most of them took place between 53 and 64, but it's not clear how many people were involved in the tests. The agency kept notoriously poor records. Oh, that's what it was. Clerical error. That's what it just like they just couldn't write the stuff down correctly at the CIA. Oh, those guys, they got a bad filing system. That's what we're supposed to believe.
Dude, I did a segment. It's hard to remember it, but it was on the biggest like mistakes of the FBI and the CIA. And one of them was that they lost Oswald's rifle, they claim. They just can't find it. Like it's shit like that where you're like, what in the fuck? You can't come up with something better, some better excuse.
But like they're still doing it. I mean, if you look at, I mean, again, like the Epstein thing, the Ghislaine Maxwell, like, we just lost. He hung himself and the cameras were bad and then 2 guards fell asleep. Okay, thanks. Like we're all just supposed to buy that. And that's why hashtag Epstein didn't kill himself. No. The funny thing is now with the internet, nobody's buying this crap. Like
I know.
All supposed to, they lost his rifle. Like,
and you know what it really does is it completely undermines any remaining belief people had in the mainstream media when they see a report about, Epstein dying and they're like, apparently he committed suicide. It's just what a story. And everyone at home is like throwing things at their TV like it's the final minute of the Super Bowl. And they're like, no, what are you fucking Jesus?
Yeah.
And the cat gets hurled across the room.
I know. They just blatantly say this stuff, and they're going to do it. And we're going to get some crazy thing with Maxwell, whatever it is. She died, or.
I was thinking it might be some kind of deal where she turns on a few people that they believe are the ones they can, easily, the scapegoats they can easily prosecute. And she keeps quiet on pivotal people like Prince Andrew or whoever else. And then she only gets, fucking 3 years for administrative malfeasance or something.
Right. I just love those concocted terms like aggressive emailing or something like. So, but that's like, and
she all she did was type an incorrect. She pushed the wrong button on an email. The problem was the email was inside of a girl who did not want to be there.
Oh, got it. I mean, even in the charges.
Yeah. It's an accident.
And Whitney Webb pointed this out when I brought her on last week. When the charges first happened, it said she's involved in trafficking, but they didn't actually charge her with sexual assault of a minor, which is what several of Epstein's victims have said she did. She participated in the raping and trafficking. They're just like, she enabled, like they keep talking around it. So it's like, again, they're like you say, they're setting up all of these lesser charges because they're going to they're sitting there right now going, well, Dershowitz is going to go down, but not Trump, Clinton, or Prince Andrew. Like, they're just like,
right.
Like it's going to be a bunch of mid-level guys like that are going to, they're done. But nobody else. But going back to Mkultra, because I think this all ties in. So they included experience with MDMA, ecstasy, mescaline, heroin, barbiturates, methamphetamines, and psilocybin or magic mushrooms. And they had Operation Midnight Climax, which I'm not making this name.
Which was also the name of Epstein's Island.
And Chris D'Elia's last album. So
did you know that guy? I didn't know him.
I did not know him. I did not know D'Elia at all. I saw him do stand-up I was at the Improv, the Hollywood Improv, 6-7 years ago, right when he was sort of kind of blowing up, and I was on the same show with him, and I watched his set and I went, huh. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that you and I are both bitter at Hollywood. And that actually that sums up my response to about 80% of every comedian I ever saw get like a fucking sitcom or some massive deal or something, and then you go watch them do stand up and you're like, interesting. I wonder how that happened.
Big wacky voices. Okay. But as we uncover all this stuff, you got to wonder. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But Operation Midnight Climax, the CIA hired prostitutes to lure unsuspecting men to CIA safe houses where drug experiments took place. The CIA dosed the men with LSD and then, while at times drinking cocktails behind a two-way mirror, watched the drug's effects and the men's behavior. Recording devices were installed in the prostitutes' room disguised as electrical outlets. Most of the Operation Midnight experiments took place in San Francisco, Marin County, and New York City. The program had little oversight, and the CIA agents involved admitted that a freewheeling party-like atmosphere, and this is one of the quotes
Dude, can you imagine being in the CIA in the 50s and 60s? Oh, God, you can do whatever the fuck you want. No one even asked.
I know.
I mean, granted, they're running wild now, too, but back then.
Like somebody came in and pitched to go, oh, we need to do the drug sex thing. Oh, all right.
Okay, yeah,
sure.
You know what? You should probably test out the sex thing for at least 2-3 months. See if it's working right.
See if it's working. But this is what this guy said. An agent named George White wrote to Gottlieb in 1971. Of course, I was a very minor missionary, actually a heretic, but I toiled wholeheartedly in the vineyards because it was fun. Where else could a red-blooded American boy lie, kill, and cheat, steal, deceive, rape, and pillage with the sanction and blessing of the All-Highest? That's not terrifying at all. That's what our government did.
I will say this. I appreciate the work ethic of the CIA back in those years, because in order to spy on someone having sex, they had to rent out the hotel room, put little bugs inside the lamps and things, put in a one-sided mirror or two-sided mirror, whatever it's called, and then sit on the other side and literally be there and watch. Whereas now it's 3 keystrokes and they watch you have sex.
Right.
That is it.
On your phone.
They type in one password and they know your entire sex history.
Yeah. Yeah. Really hats off to the work ethic of the CIA back in the day. They really did.
Yeah.
They really did.
They put in the time. They put in the effort.
So,
by the way, speaking of this, did you ever watch Wormwood on Netflix?
No.
Oh my God, it's right up your alley. Wormwood is an amazing. They do both. It's a documentary that has scripted moments in it, so you go back and forth between the fictionalized version and the documentary aspect. And it's about a scientist that was killed. He was basically taken out by I believe, CIA. He was an American scientist, but he was a scientist working for the CIA, but he was working on germ warfare. And he ultimately, and they fucking did MK Ultra on him. They brought a bunch of them up to like a cabin, slipped LSD in their drinks, and wanted to see what would happen to them. And the LSD created an awakening in him. He started to lose it. He couldn't get behind the germ warfare shit anymore. And so he said, listen, I just want out. I'm never going to talk about this stuff. I just want out of the CIA. And they kept trying to talk him back in. And then he falls from a 13-story window in a hotel in New York.
So this is Frank Olson, I believe.
Frank Olson.
Yes, because this is in this article, who's a scientist that worked for the CIA. And at a 53 CIA retreat, he drank a cocktail that had spiked with LSD. A few days later, he threw himself out of a New York hotel window and alleged suicide. Yeah, that's... And anyway, and ultimately the government actually apologized, which they would never say that they killed him, but they kind of left it as maybe we gave him LSD and he jumped out the window because of the LSD we gave him. Yeah. But they literally apologized, which I feel like is as close to a guilty verdict as you're going to get for the government assassinating a fucking scientist. Yeah, and according to this, the family also got $750,000 settlement. They received an apology from Gerald Ford and then CIA Director William Colby. Oh wow! And Ken Kesey, author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, volunteered for MK Ultra. So this is like, there was a church committee, President Ford, while Chevy Chase was busy making him seem like a bumbling guy, he was doing all this fun stuff, with the, oh man, the church committee the church committee actually investigated, in the wake of the Watergate scandal, President Ford set up a United States Commission and CIA activities within the United States, investigate the illegal CIA activities. And the commission was led by Vice President Nelson Rockefeller, which is just like,
right.
Oh, I love, that's what you do, Lee, is like they had, remember when they asked John Gotti to do his own RICO Act investigation? Remember when they did that? That was fitting, right? That made sense.
Yep. And Trump was going to get back to us on a review of his taxes, I think, any day now, wasn't that? He's going to let us know what he found.
Absolutely. We want the corrupt people. So
one more note on LSD. There are some theories that JFK was doing LSD, which is what caused him to begin to have his awakening, where he started talking about peace and peace with the Soviet Union. And just a few months before his assassination, gave a much heralded speech, although it was more heralded outside of America. In America, it was largely, intentionally ignored, but a speech at, I believe, American University, where he basically just laid out how great the Soviet Union is and how we need to be their allies and friends, and how they helped us win World War II, and all these things. And within a few months, he was he jumped out of a 13th-floor window. He jumped into a bullet that seemed to be coming in his direction.
The bullet that made right turns. That bullet.
It's called a whoop-de-woo, whoop-de-doo bullet that swings around, does a right turn. But it's there's a great book called Mary's Mosaic. I had the author of it on, and Mary Meyer was the mistress of Kennedy, well-known mistress. I mean, it wasn't even much of a secret, and she was assassinated it was about a year after Kennedy was killed. She was shot in the back of the head, like basically executed broad daylight here in Washington, D.C. on the canal path, or the towpath, canal towpath. And it was because she was raising a large stink, and she was a higher up in American society. Her father had been a governor and things like that, and she was raising a stink about how it was not Oswald that had killed Kennedy. And she just, and they've always claimed that just some random guy had shown up on the towpath, grabbed her, and tried to rape her for 12 seconds, and then just immediately killed her. Which happens all the time.
All the time. So totally, especially when you bring up the Lee Harvey Oswald and the grassy knoll, and Jack Ruby was just a concerned citizen. He was mad. That's why Jack Ruby did that. He didn't broker a deal.
You know what? He was just really upset.
Yeah, he was. It was a lot of mob-tied club owners were just like, how dare you? Absolutely. It makes perfect sense.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.